Hi, this is Abul Hussein coming to you live and direct from London, the United Kingdom. And if you are watching this interview outside of our group for social media marketing agencies, make sure you join in on Facebook. Go to smmamastermind.com. Now, with that out of the way, I would like to welcome my guest who's joining me from the US. His name is Frank Laser. He is a digital marketing consultant with many years of experience behind him. He has worked for Fortune 100, Fortune 500, I believe, not 100, companies in the US. He's worked with local clients. And today we are going to talk about how to be omnipresent in your customer's journey so that the conversions become a lot easier and you get the best bang for your buck from your digital marketing. So Frank, welcome to the show.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's great to be here to be interviewing with you. I've seen previous interviews, and I'm sure it's going to be a great experience. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you very much for joining me. So how about you going to give a little bit of a background into who you are and how you got into the digital marketing world?
In the digital marketing space for about 5 years now. I started as soon as I could in college. I got an internship at a Viant company. Since then, I've worked at Ford Motor Company, which is, I believe, a Fortune 20 company. I've worked at other global companies, like in the IT world as well. I've helped small businesses as a freelancer too. So I've worked with huge companies and the smallest companies you could imagine as well. I understand how they operate.
Mm-hmm. So talk to us about a couple of different campaigns that you've worked with. What are you most proud of, or what were you most kind of excited to share with the viewers?
Will definitely be at Ford. Ford is one of the biggest advertisers in the world. I believe top 15 in America. Like the competition to Ford's spending budget is like GM, of course, and other big spenders are AT&T and Comcast. But my job there was to be a digital marketing analyst. And so what that means is I studied their ads, whether that's Facebook or Google search or Google display, and I would come up with ideas to improve them. That would be creating hypotheses is what we called it. So
Mm-hmm.
I would create hypotheses. And one hypothesis that I had was that since Ford has such a huge budget, hundreds of $1,000,000 a year, even billions, I figured, okay, maybe we might be sending too many ads to people. And so what I did was I looked through the numbers and I looked through our ads. And I looked at a few ads in particular and found that people were getting ads on websites like cargurus.com and cars.com. They would get the same ad 7 times a week. And that's a lot just for one type of ad on one website, especially considering they're seeing YouTube ads, TV ads, and billboards too. And so because of that hypothesis, I have a good start here. They are seeing a lot of ads. So let me see if we get an investment, if they only see that 3 times a week or 5 times a week. And so what I did was I set up campaigns, one that had a limit of 3 times a week, 5 times a week, and 7 times a week. And I'd be able to compare the performance of each of these 3 ad settings. And what I found was, of course, once you see an ad, let's say 3 times a week, it stops becoming effective and people no longer want to see it. In fact, maybe it's annoying to them too. And so with that knowledge, that side of decreasing ad campaigns on a weekly basis, I managed to decrease the frequency of those ads and save Ford a few $1,000,000. I believe it was $3 or $4 million per year.
Wow, that's amazing. Did they give you a promotion after that? Did they give you a bonus, or did they, for saving them a couple of $1,000,000?
Oh man, the whole team was doing the same thing. So I was, $4 million is a lot, but I was in track with the whole team. That was just one test I ran, but the whole team ended up saving the company about $50 million just on the first year. So it was an amazing experience, and I learned a ton there.
Oh, that's amazing. So, I mean, you've worked with large companies. Talk to us about what you've done for your freelance clients. Let's talk about small business, local business. It's quite important right now to support local businesses because of this global pandemic that we're going on, and they often suffer when there's a recession or there's a downturn. And many small businesses are not digital yet. They have not got online. So, how have you helped your businesses in your local community to embrace digital, and what kind of results have you achieved for them?
Yeah, so it's a good point. With coronavirus going on, big companies have the budgets and they have the cash really to really use after coronavirus hits and their revenue goes down. So they can survive pretty easily, especially because they can cut their ad budget down and their marketing budgets and whatnot to have brand recognition to get sales. Whereas the small companies like mom and pop can't, they don't have those luxuries. So they're running day to day practically. So what I do is I'll find a company that needs my help and I'll figure out what they've been doing in terms of how they find clients and how clients find them. I'll find out what their goals are too. Like want to get on social media or get more customers in store. So I'll connect those two, what they've done and where they want to go. And I'll create a plan for them as to, okay, we'll buy ads, we'll make you a new website and whatnot. So one example was a Tai Chi company in Detroit. It was a very interesting business, but he loved Tai Chi, and so he wanted to share his love with the world. And so I started social media platforms for him, and I helped him with his website. And from there, he was able to manage his own social media presence and his website himself at an affordable rate. So that was one fun plan.
Okay, that's great. And we're talking about kind of small business marketing here. How can a small business that is getting started with digital marketing, how can they again be like Ford, to be omnipresent in front of their customers, to essentially get more people through the door? What tactics can they start using, kind of say from tomorrow?
Yeah, so good question, and you're asking people moving in terms of what they can start doing. So I just got off the phone with a videographer. So he makes ads for big companies and small companies, and he's never done marketing before. So I spoke to him. I learned about what he wants, what he's done before, and what his ideas are. And he basically needed leads. He needed revenue. And with digital marketing, there's ways to do that. There's search engine optimization, there's ads, there's blogging, there's an endless list practically. But what I determined is that let's take baby steps. If you're new to something, don't jump in head first. Instead, dip your toes and try little steps. So what I told them is, I'll update your SEO of your website, and I will do a little bit of blogging. That way, we're not creating something completely new, but instead, we're building upon what he already has on his website. And so that was that I told about that really construct anything new, but rather just continues to grow what he has. And so he liked that idea. And so my idea to new business owners and small business owners is to start small and what you got and make it better. And then later on, once that succeeds, then you can grow on to different platforms and different strategies.
And that's quite important to take baby steps. I'm sure one of the questions that your clients will ask you is, for example, I'm going to invest with you. How quickly am I going to see results? So, we all know SEO is a bit of a long. So how do you kind of get around to presenting how soon your client is going to see some results to, I suppose, justify the investment?
Yeah, so ROI can be really complicated for marketing. When it comes to e-commerce, it's easy to track. Let's say you spend on a pay-per-click ad and they have a 20% chance of making a purchase, which leads to $50 profit. Well, in a scenario like that, it's really easy to determine if marketing's worth it. Whereas with huge companies like Ford, how do you say that your ad budget of $10,000 justifies someone buying a car? Like, there's so much more to track. So what I really like to do is start off by not necessarily bringing in ROI, but start off with like SEO and blogging that costs maybe a few $100s a month. And it's hard to say how much money you're going to make from blogging, of course. But the point is to really get them at least started with marketing at small cost. And then later on, then you have more data to say, okay, here's the chance someone will buy from us. And with that being known, let's start advertising. Here's cost per click measurements. Here's the conversion rate to purchases. Then you can really get more analytical. But it's hard from the start when you don't have much data.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, data is quite important, as you have pointed out, so how do you ensure that, from the get-go, you are capturing the right data so that you can start benchmarking in terms of how you've improved performance? I mean, what are, I suppose, some of the tools that you might use?
Yeah, so it's really important, like you said, to keep track of what's going on your website in terms of sales and whatnot. But there are a lot of analytical tools, but I prefer to use cheaper ones, especially free ones. Like HubSpot offers a free starter tool, which is great. That helps you with tracking the sales process. And there are a few others. To be honest, I'm not an expert in these quite yet, but I know they're out there and they're important, especially to set up from the start. Because if you can prove that your marketing services have a positive ROI, then you're more likely to keep the client and grow with the client. And that includes having a full-time job and having a manager. If you work with a manager and you prove that your work is positive in ROI, then you're going to do so much better. And they will think so much more highly of you and value you more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, you worked in the, I suppose, the corporate sector before you kind of went off and did your own thing after, knowing how valuable your skills are. How are some of, what are some of the ways that you're picking up clients and kind of, building a client base for yourself?
Yeah, so one way is via LinkedIn. By just posting on LinkedIn, by commenting on LinkedIn, and having my job title having my job title available for people to see, so that, let's say I comment on a popular post, they see my job title, something like, hey, I'll help you with the website. Well, just that in itself is free marketing for myself. It doesn't take much time, and I actually enjoy it. And doing it this way, the inbound way, gives me the power of having less competition. Whereas if I advertise or if I post my work on Upwork, then I'll likely be in a pool of candidates in the eyes of the person trying to look for a marketer. So I really like to do inbound marketing, not only because it leads better results, but it's free too, and that's a great price.
Yeah, no, that's a great tactic. LinkedIn is the world's largest online networking platform out there. So that's great. In terms of someone who might be looking to kind of transition from being in a corporate role, in a corporate digital marketing role, to starting their own agency or starting a freelancing career, what are some of the pitfalls they need to be aware of before they make the transition from being on a salary to essentially going out to do their own thing?
Yeah, it's definitely tough, and it's completely different. I mean, when you work at, let's say, a marketing agency, then you're just the marketer maybe, and you have an account coordinator team or account manager team on your side. You have finance people on your side. You have managers on your side. You have a big team behind you that you may not realize is supporting you. Whereas if you're a consultant, then you're the finance guy. You're the sales guy. You're all the guys. You wear all the hats. So my first to not only master whatever your services are, whether that's marketing or graphic design or whatever it may be, but have an idea as to the whole sales funnel
Mm-hmm.
of find me, what's going to get them to contact me. And once they contact me, really what are the steps that I need to take to get them into the sales process and get them to buy my services. And then what tool do I use to send them invoices? What tool do I use to manage all of my customers and bill them? And it's a whole process. So my tip is master what your services are, and then think about the whole process of start to finish, finding a client and working on the client.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, that's great. As you mentioned, you have to wear a lot more hats. You're not just the marketer anymore. I want to come back to one of the questions that I asked you about helping small businesses in your local community, or working with small mom and pop shops, if you like. And you mentioned one of the ways, obviously, is to start off with SEO and with blogging. A lot of people say, SEO is dead, blogging no longer works, But I know when you are focused more on a niche and you're, I suppose, targeting maybe people within 20, 30-mile radius of your business, it might work a little better. So in terms of kind of your SEO experience, is it dead? And, how well does it work when you try to apply it for local local businesses who might be up against national competitors?
Yeah, so SEO has taken a hit, as you're mentioning. Google has been improving their algorithm, so there's such like header tags, H1, H2, and the whole thing. But I think it's still important, especially for small businesses, as you mentioned as well, that really can only have clients within a 20-mile radius. So if I find a business in Long Beach, California, and I improve their SEO, I can make it so that people in Long Beach and nearby are more likely, they aren't that expensive, especially for small websites. It takes, I'd say, less than 10 hours, far less than 10 hours for a small website. And the return on investment they'll see over the long term will be pretty substantial. It just might be hard to quantify unless they have all the right tools set up, like Google Analytics, and finding where traffic is coming from. But SEO has taken a hit, but it's still viable, especially if you're in the niche, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, that's brilliant. So, Frank, you've been quite generous with your time sharing your tips. So if a business owner is watching, watching you here, and they wanted to reach out to you to work with you, where's the best place to find you? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, a few options. I'd say first, add me on LinkedIn and check out my website. So, name Lazur, and my website is lazurmarketing.com. Learn a little bit about what I do, and we can discuss if we're a good partnership.
And final question for you before I let you go: why should they pick you over the 10,000 other people in Upwork?
Yeah, right. More than any time, there's a ton of competition. A lot of people are unemployed, and so they're getting creative with how they make money. But not that many people can say they saved a huge corporation $4 million with just one test. And so I feel like the analytical nature of my experience is what sets me apart.
No, perfect. That's a perfect answer. Well, Frank, thank you very much for joining us. I'm not going to take your time any longer. I've only booked you for half an hour, but it's been a delight having you on, and I'll catch up with you very soon.
Okay, for time.